Alternative gonna give you what you asking for. Naturally yours, but educate the most. The most hottest in the game, here to fix you on. Come learn this business, welcome to Twinness. Alternative gonna give you what you asking for. Naturally yours, but educate the most. The most hottest in the game, here to put you on. Come learn this business, welcome to Twinness. But glad you're tuning in on the latest tip. Alternative salon, keep your head lit. And naturally yours, got your custom fit. T-shirt and Taneka, keep your wig drip. TNT, double up the impact, call it Twinness. Hottest hairstylist in the business. Keeping topics fresh for your listening. Black owned, woman independent. Like fishes hold it down on your imaging. Whether professional or apprenticeship. Showing culture love just to get you right. Black is beautiful, always shining bright. Alternative gonna give you what you asking for. Naturally yours, but educate the most. The most hottest in the game, here to put you on. Come learn this business, welcome to Twinness. Alternative gonna give you what you asking for. Naturally yours, but educate the most. The most hottest in the game, here to put you on. Come learn this business, welcome to Twinness.
Well. It has been a while, Nikki. How are you?
It has been, y'all. Thank you for joining Twinness. If y'all see me looking in two directions, I'm recording on my Facebook. I'm live, T. I just did that. Okay. So I'm live on my page.
So how have you been? The last time we came, you had COVID. Can you tell us your experience?
Yes. So tonight, guys, we are talking about my experience with COVID. We are on Twinness. So if you're on Facebook, you could join us on Twinness on Facebook Live. But my bout with COVID, it's been a situation after situation. My daughter, they started school. As soon as school started, their school was out with 10 days for COVID. And then I ended up with COVID later on, but it was not related to her. I know I have an idea of where I caught my COVID. I can track where I believe I got the COVID. And I didn't really have any symptoms. And that was the thing about it. It was that I was asymptomatic. I had a little chill, but because I'm anemic, I can have chills at any time. But this was like worse. It was like I'm really, really cold. So I'm thinking that my blood levels were really, really low. So I said, okay, I'm going to finish up my client because I was at the shop. I said, I'm going to finish up my client and then I'm going to the urgent care to see what's going on with me. As soon as they did the test, they did a rapid, it came back positive, and I was off for 10 days. But because I'm a professional, I called and let that client know, hey, I have COVID and I want to make sure that you're okay. And then I also let the owner of the shop know that I had COVID. And of course, I had to let my job know that I had COVID as well. So being a business owner, you have to be careful and be honest. It's called integrity, letting them know that you have COVID, or if you ever been exposed to COVID, letting them know, because, some people just go on and keep on working or just keep it to themselves. But I know that I've had clients that were honest with me to say, hey, I've been exposed. I'm sorry. So, in kind, I have to do the same thing.
Yes. So, hi, everybody. I see that we have 4 people viewing right now. I just want to say hello. The last time you guys saw us, Taneka had announced that she had COVID. We didn't know how serious it was going to be. Taneka, can you tell us shortly after that broadcast, tell us what happened?
Well, a lot of times nurses like to care for themselves. And because I am a single parent, I have to care for my daughter with special needs. And I just kept going. I kept going, like no matter what. Like I didn't feel good, but she has to be changed. I don't feel good, but she has to eat. I don't feel good, but she has to have a bath. I don't feel good, but she has to go to school. I don't feel good, but I just have to keep on going because I'm the sole caregiver for my daughter and for my son as well. And so anytime I went in, the blessing and the beauty was that she didn't get COVID and my son didn't get COVID. With her, I would double mask anytime I went into her room. But I believe that having the double mask really was making my situation worse because I couldn't breathe. But for me, I'm trying to protect her as best as I can by being in there short periods of time and having a double mask. And so I'm just deviating just a little bit because a lot of my friends now, they're like, I don't care what people say, the mask do something. Because for me to be as sick as I was, for my kids to not contract the illness, I had to be doing something right. So shortly after, getting diagnosed, I think I did good with the COVID part, but then pneumonia set in my lungs. And like I said, I'm double masking, so I'm breathing in my own junk, and just taking Mucinex and Tylenol and Dayquil, hot toddies, and just drinking and trying to cover the symptoms on my own. And it wasn't getting any better. By the time someone came to check on me, my O2 sats was at 84%. By the time I got to the hospital, they said if I did not get in when I did, I would have been on the ventilator. So I'm thankful for my boss who came and checked on me with the pulse oximeter, because in case people are watching and don't know, your oxygen level should be 99, 100. I'll even let you have 97. But anytime it goes really low, below 90, you're in big trouble because now you're trying to compensate and you're not getting the oxygen that you need. And I was at 84%. And even at 84%, wearing a thin mask made me feel like I was suffocating, like I couldn't breathe. And it was the thin mask, because sometimes I wear a cloth mask and those are very thick to me. And the thinner mask, I couldn't even tolerate that.
Okay. Again, guys, thank you. You are watching Twinness. This is Tisha McDonald, and this is Taneka Gillard. The last time we came to you, Taneka had said that she had COVID. So we just wanted to see how she is now, and that's what our show is about today. So, Taneka, you said that your boss came by, who happens to be your supervisor, a nurse, and you went to the hospital. Can you tell us your experience from there?
Yeah. So when my supervisor, she is the director of nursing at the facility where I work. And she just texted me that morning, how you feeling? Because I had gotten COVID. And then her daughter soon after had gotten COVID, not from me, you guys, not related. But her daughter was having kind of the same symptoms as I was having, with the hard breathing and situation getting worse. So she was like, well, let me just check on Taneka and see how she's doing. If you're suffering like this, let me see what Taneka's doing. So that's what she texted me early in the morning. She said, send me your address. I'm on my way. She got to the house, checked my O2 sat. She said, we got to get you out of here right now. Like, I wouldn't have left. And see, earlier that morning, my daughter had a telehealth visit. So she had a doctor's appointment, and the doctor was looking at me. He said, you do not look good. You need to see a doctor. So that was the confirmation right there. As soon as she came, she was like, we got to get you out this house right now. Who's here with your daughter? So we packed it up. I moved it out. I went to the urgent care, but it was too full. And she traveled behind me. So we drove to the hospital. As soon as we got to the hospital, she gave them the information on who I was and everything. I'm like, how do you know all of this about me? But, and so then they admitted me right then and there. So I text my son, well, I'm thinking I'm going to be there maybe overnight. I'm not knowing I'm going to have to stay there 7 whole days. So, I'm there and I don't have anything. I don't have a cell phone charger. I'm just by myself because they don't let, where I was, they didn't let not even one visitor in if you had COVID. So I'm just making sure that my kids are safe and making sure that they have someone, so I'm, hey, it only takes one phone call from me. And I think Cordell took it from there. I don't even know how things fell into place, you know, but I was very grateful that all my friends and family here, and of course UT, was able to just step in while I was gone during that time.
So how long were you in the hospital?
I was in the hospital for a total of 7 days, and I could cry because that first night I could not breathe. Like I said, I was at 84%. They put me on oxygen at 6 liters. If y'all don't know, in the hospital, we like just 2 liters. We like 2 liters. But I was on 6 and I still couldn't breathe even then. And for me to be the independent person that I was, I couldn't even make it to the bathroom by myself. I got to the bathroom by myself, but I panicked. I had to hit the nurse's button because I was hyperventilating. I couldn't get enough air in my lungs. And to be honest, I was really thinking, I wasn't thinking about dying, but I was thinking that if I did die, my will is already in order. And I did make a post on Facebook, like, I have a will, I have things in order, I have life insurance. I'm like, okay, so if I did die, I'm okay, you know, but not thinking that I'm going to die, you know. And I'm going to be very honest because someone else asked me, that's one of my good friends, Joelle Regal, how did you feel when you got COVID? And for me, I never was afraid to get COVID because I felt like it is not a death sentence. People do not always die from having COVID. And it really freaked her out because when I did speak to her, she was like, well, did they have to put you on a vent? No, everyone that has COVID does not end up on a vent. And I think that sometimes watching the news and hearing different stories, you get the worst scenario. Yes, I was by myself. Yes, that first night was very difficult. And I don't take anxiety medicine, but I requested to have something for anxiety because just getting up from the bed, sorry, you guys, to the bedside commode, that was very hard. Getting up to go to the sink to raise my arm just to wash off, that was a lot of energy. I really had to mentally prepare myself to make any moves, to make any step. It really, really took a lot out of me.
So while you were in the hospital, I know that it was very difficult. You had to be scared about your children being home. At that point, were you able to reach out to your friends and say, I need you to get over to the house and check on my kids? How did that work out for you?
I don't know how that worked out, T. You know, Cynthia is here with me. Thank you, Cynthia Hutchison. She's my sister here in Alabama. I don't know how it went down with y'all. I don't know how you got the word. I don't know how, well, Cynthia brought me a charger, and I know that you and her connect. I know you and Cordell connect, my son. I don't know how y'all orchestrated it on the outside, but I was just very grateful that everybody stepped in. And this is what I told my son, that you have to be careful on the friends that you choose to make sure that everyone steps into place. Another person, Allison O'Hara, I can't forget you. My girlfriends, they came in. Tisha came down twice. She came down for the first, because Tisha was already like, Nikki, I'm on my way, I'm coming. And I'm saying, no, I'm okay. Not realizing how bad I was. And so for her to stop what she was doing with her kids, her business, you know, because they are in football and cheer. She's a mother full time. And so to sacrifice and say, hey, I got to stop what I'm doing to go take care of my niece and my nephew, and then to go home, check back on her kids, and then come back a second time for 10 more days when I got out the hospital. That was great. But what I was telling Cordell, my son, who's 16, choose your friends wisely, know who you could trust. Also choose your career. Like for me, I'm grateful for my friends who are all in the medical field. Tisha, you know, you got your own thing going on there with that mortuary science, Lord Jesus. But, you know, just having a background, even if it wasn't even the nursing, the fact that they were there, the fact that y'all came in, bathed Rain, made sure she was on a school bus, made sure that her medicine was taken care of, made sure that the house was taken care of, and then to fill the refrigerator with food. so that when I got back, I wasn't stressed out over that. For you to take on clients for me when I was out of commission. For Erica Birchfield, thank you, Erica, for taking on some of my clients. For Randall and his wife, the owner of the salon where I work, for them to let you come in and take over my clients for me. I'm thankful for that because they didn't have to do that. And so while I'm in the hospital, I really wasn't concerned because I can, technology, we could FaceTime. But I just didn't have the energy to talk. So although I kept getting well wishes from people saying, hey, I just didn't have the energy to text. I didn't have the energy to talk. I just didn't have it, but I was very appreciative of it all.
So again, you guys are watching Twinness with Tisha and Taneka, and we are talking about Taneka's COVID
experience.
Her COVID experience. Thank you, Nikki. Because everybody experiences it differently, and we're just going a little bit by step on her experience of COVID. And I also wanted to say thank you to Tony North and Jamel, who also stepped up. Tell me about coming home and then being on oxygen.
Okay. So when I came home from the hospital, I came home with oxygen. And I also came home with anxiety medicine too. I took one. But I came home with oxygen, which was different for my son and scary for him as well, because to see me that's always independent, running around, always just doing, to be in a weakened state was different. And I think it was scary for him, but it was necessary, of course. And so it was just different. It was different coming home on oxygen. That first night, trying to take a shower, because, in the hospital, I was just, bathing at the sink. But to take a shower, that was kind of scary because I only could take the oxygen off for a certain amount of time. So if it was more than 5 minutes, that was too much. So I had to make sure I had a chair in the shower. I had everything close by so that, I can get back on the oxygen quickly. And again, everybody came to the house, made sure that we were set up again, made sure everything was in order, clothes laid out for Rain for school, hair done by Tisha McDonald, Alternatives Beauty, and just taking our time and but for me, I felt like I had to still do normal things. I still had to give Rain a bath and still give her love, but at the same time, scared to be around my own daughter because I don't want her to get sick. So again, I'm not going to double mask, but when I'm around her, I had to wear a mask, and I tried to stay away from her as much as possible again, because I didn't want to risk her, although the risk was lowered now that my body had built up so much immunity. But I still, and sometimes I feel like I want her to get some of my whatever. How can I pass some of my antibodies on to her, But it was scary to not be able to be around her and to still kind of isolate to some degree.
Okay. Again, thank you guys for watching the Twinness. Tisha and Taneka here, just talking about Taneka's experience with COVID. And you guys know, some of you guys know, I had to close my business. And like she mentioned earlier, I closed it twice. It's nothing like having family right there. You know who you can depend on at a time of need. And I needed to be there. And of course, I'm going to drop whatever I'm doing. But I want to say thank you to everyone as well, because, I don't know all of Rain's medications. It's different when you have a special needs child, and that's on a lot of medicines. And I thank all of Taneka's friends for coming by, showing me how to lay out the medicines, crush them up, and different things, because, she's on medicines maybe 3 times a day or something.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot being there and having to take care of my niece and, of course, my nephew.
Yeah, so thankfully my friends are in the medical field, but even if they weren't, I always have a list of her meds on the refrigerator. So if you read the refrigerator, if you read the medicine bottles, the instructions are all there. But even though with all of my friends and everything, it's like, well, Nikki, we're not going to do it the way you do it. And that was fine. I had no problem, long as it was getting done. But for me, when I got home, it was, I have to give Rain a shower. Like, I know she's been having bed baths, but she has to have a full, complete scrub down. And I did that. I took my time. Thankfully, my brother came on down again, Jermaine. And he was able to see what I would do on a normal basis by myself without help, getting my daughter on the shower chair, getting her scrubbed down and stuff. Thankfully, of course, they were there to help me. But typically, I do everything myself. And so for them to actually see what all I would do on a regular, and I was doing this with oxygen. And so getting toward the healing process, I would take the oxygen off at intervals and test my lungs. I'm gonna be very honest with you guys, and I told Libra, who is my personal trainer online, I believe that me exercising beforehand also helped with my recovery, because I did a lot of weight training and a lot of cardio, and I think that helped me. And now I'm starting back with that slowly with my 5 pounds and my 8 pounds. But I would go up and down the steps, and all my family and friends would curse me out. Nikki, you doing too much. But I'm like, and I don't know, my nursing friends, we know what it takes for rehab nursing. We can't just sit around and say, that's it. We have to get up and get moving. So for me, I had to go downstairs and come back up the stairs. I would take my time. I would know my limits as well. Y'all stayed on me about checking my O2 sats. Even when I went back to the shop to work, I had a pulse oximeter in my purse, and it's still in my purse right now, because y'all would say, check it and let us know where it is. If it gets too much, you need to sit down. I had the oxygen tank in my car, just in case I had to take a break in between clients and sit in my car and re-up. And so I think that for me, that was important because I didn't want to be dependent or to not try. And because I have a family, and so even though it pressed y'all's buttons for me to do it, it had to be done. The only residual effect I'm having right now is brain fog. I lose concentration easily, and I have to focus on the task at hand. Before, I used to be able to multitask and, but now it's like, I gotta see this all the way through. I cannot just stop midway because I get thrown off easily.
How are you feeling now, and how has it been? And I want to say thank you to your clients as well. I'm sorry for trusting me to do their hair. It was great to meet everyone, and you really worked me while I was there.
Yes. 2 of those clients came back yesterday, and it was like, talking to you is just like talking to your sister was just like talking to you. They was just floored to meet you, because they said we sound alike, we look alike, and all of that jazz. And people always ask if we still play tricks on each other or on other people, but you had to come down. You used my driver's license to go to the bank and stuff like that. Y'all didn't hear that on Twinness. But yes, so we still do those things from time to time when necessary. But yes.
So how are you feeling now that you?
I feel fine. I feel much better. As y'all see, I cut my hair. It was like, oh, I couldn't deal with that no more. But I feel better. I went back to work full time last Monday. And I did take an anxiety pill that Monday because I did not know what to expect. It was a lot of work. Monday was okay. Tuesday, they tried to slam me, but I said, no. I think the lesson that I learned being in that hospital, because a lot of times people will say, Nikki, you needed that break. You was doing too much. You don't never take a pause. And so from then I said, I'm going to start taking a pause. Thursdays will be my days off. A day during the week, because sometimes, you can't get stuff done on the weekend that you need to get done during the week. And that's not every Thursday. This Thursday I'll be at the shop because it's Veterans Day and, all the kids are out. But typically Thursdays will be my day off. And then I'm not going to be at the shop late into the night either. After 5, 6, I want to be home with my kids, So I'm learning how to slow down, just a little bit because I need to slow down. I don't have to work as hard as I do. And that's where I am right now.
So we want to say thank you guys for watching Twitness. We're not ending yet. We just want to say thank you for staying with us. You know, we were gone for quite some time because my sister had COVID, and then shortly after my sister had COVID, my son got COVID. Um, and his experience was totally different. You know, he's 17 years old, and he had gone to a homecoming party, and that's where they believe he got it from. It just so happened that the homecoming party was on Saturday, and he got his first vaccine on Sunday, and we were in the hospital that Monday. I was thinking as a reaction to the vaccine, but he actually had COVID before getting vaccinated. I had problems with that, but I won't be going into that too much here. But he I don't know. His chest was hurting and he was cold. I said, "Oh, to me that sounded like he had pneumonia." I was like, "Okay, let me take him to the hospital because this is some of the symptoms that Taneka had." And but when we went, they said no, he didn't have pneumonia, but yes, in fact, he had COVID. 17 years old, and he was like, we had Olive Garden one night. He was like, "Mommy, I can't taste this." And so I was like, "Oh no, you know, here we go." And so, but his taste came back pretty quickly. It was less than a day. His taste came back, but he had no appetite. And right now, he's a football player. He has lost so much weight. Um, when it was time, we had to quarantine, and the state of Delaware, they contact you. The Department of Health was blowing up my phone, and every day they would reach out and ask about the symptoms. Everybody in the house, they were asking about. Um, by the time it was time for him to go back to school, he had lost so much weight that his pants were literally falling off of him. And he's like, "Mommy, I need some clothes because my clothes are falling off of me." He played his first football game. He said, "Mommy, they are ragdolling me out there," because he lost so much weight. He didn't
Wow.
feel comfortable. He feels like, "I need my weight back because I'm
Right.
being ragdolled out there." So, but he's all good now. And so, yes, it's different for everyone. One of my clients got COVID 6 months ago now, and she called me up. She's been watching us and following us, and she wanted to know, how is it that
Pants were
we stay
literally
so
falling
positive?
off of him. How is it that what?
How is it that we stay so positive? How is it that I can take care of you? It was impressive to her for me to come down with you. And, you know, we did a couple of videos for Instagram doing your hair and stuff like that. You had your oxygen on, and she just wanted to know, how do we do it? And I say always, you got to stay positive. You can't be in the past. Okay, you got COVID, you weren't on a ventilator, you weren't hospitalized. That's something for you to be grateful for. My sister was hospitalized. No, she was not on a ventilator, but we got to keep it positive and we got to keep it moving forward. You can't go by 5 months ago, I was able to do this, and 5 months ago, I was able to do that. We got to go with what you're able to do today. How do you feel about that advice?
I agree. I was in the hospital by myself, and I was thankful because if I did get a little down, I turned on my little gospel. I would listen to a sermon, or I would have people like Yogi Dada call me, text me, pray with me, pray for me. Just and then I would be encouraged, like like this is just a temporary thing. Every day is not going to be sunny and rosy. And I think for me, just knowing that my kids were taken care of was enough for me to get through the day. And I always look for the lesson. Like, okay, I'm in this hospital bed. What's the lesson? The lesson is to slow down, to focus on things, you know, other ways of making a living, easier ways to do things, and just easing up on my life. So I think that sometimes you get to that standstill point and you have to look for what the lesson is. Sometimes it's to get your attention, to tell you to slow down, to make you rethink and regroup things, to make sure that your life is in order and balance. I think not enough balance in my life, not enough balance. So
Okay. So since you've been out and because we're getting ready to come to a close now, but I want to say thank you to everybody that joined us today.
yes.
Since you came back, tell us some of the positives that's happened since you have recovered.
Well, I went back to work. I went back to work with a 10% increase in pay and my own office. Where they do that at? I got my own office. Um, I'm just lighter and freer. I don't really celebrate holidays, but I said this year I'm going to be thankful and celebrate holidays. Not necessarily really celebrate them, but be grateful that I'm here for them. I don't know. It's just lighter and freer.
I see that you've been getting a lot more orders for your handmade knits.
Yeah, that's keeping me really busy right now. But y'all know this is the season that I do a lot of handmade items. So yeah, I do have a lot of orders to fill.
And I want to say also, we have been offered an opportunity um, to do a TV broadcast on Roku at Voice of Promise. We will be sharing more details as they become available, but we are working on that. And I want to just say thank you for Rehani at Voice of Promise. And that is the channel that we will be on Roku. It's going to be Voice of Promise TV. And I'm just thankful for the opportunity to have our streams on there.
Yes.
That's just more of an expansion for Twinness. And there's going to be some collabs. We're back and we're about to start. Now that we've been gone for so long, we had to cancel guests. Now we have to reschedule the guests to come back on now that we're back in business. And so I am grateful this opportunity has presented itself right in time for the new year. And you know how we plan our year in advance. So we
Yes.
know what we're talking about when we come to you guys every week. And now this new venture, yes, thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Michelle, is coming. So I'm just grateful for it.
Yes. And we already have some events scheduled for Rain's Line for 2022 coming up. So I'm excited about that. Don't know what you're about to do, T, with alternatives. I know you got some secret sauce going on over there. So hopefully we'll reveal that in 2022 as well.
I'm always up to something.
I know.
Um, Yesterday we had and now we're just being light and lively. Now we're just being light and lively. Yesterday we had our photo shoot, and it was great. It was awesome. It was amazing. And as you know, I had said on the show before that we were expanding our product line. And I have to say thank you to Renee, my product producer. She has expanded the line and I'm getting great feedback on it. So I'm excited about that. Um, I'm in the background creating a new website for my business, and that's going well. So hopefully things are moving along. That's what I should say.
Yes, and I think for me, things are moving in the direction for rainbows pretty nicely. So, especially with the handmade items. So, I'm pretty excited about her for 2022.
All right, guys. Um, we want to say thank you for joining us tonight. This was a good conversation to have because everybody's experience is different. And it went from my sister having COVID to my son having COVID, for me being an advisor for one of my clients who has had COVID. No, I have not experienced COVID. And I know everybody's experience is different. And, people will ask, how's your sister doing? How was her experience? And I can honestly say what your experience was like because, of course, I know you, and I've been there, so I saw it. But I'm thankful to God that you were not ventilated, and had you been ventilated, I'm sure God would still have brought you through. And yes, no, COVID is not a death sentence the way the media wants to make it seem like it's just death or nothing. But they don't expound enough on how much people do recover.
Right.
So that's my
So,
tidbit on that.
the
But go
one
ahead.
thing I would like to say to add to that, though, is to make sure that your affairs are in order. If I ended up on the ventilator, my will is done. Your part. Cynthia knows her part. And then Cordell knows about the life insurance. So I think that just to reiterate that, make sure that your stuff is in order. I think that's important.
All right, guys. I want to say thank you for joining us tonight. We will be back next week. And I also want to acknowledge that today would have been Mommy's birthday.
Yeah.
So I took a moment to reflect on that. And I'm grateful for her always. Love you, Mommy.
Mm-hmm.
And that is that.
Yes.
So this was a great day to come back on Mom's birthday because she wanted
Yeah.
a lot for us. She expected a lot from us, and we are doing it. And Aunt Val, you know, yes, you know. And so I believe that we are all going in the direction that Mom would want us to be in, and I'm grateful for that. That we are just moving forward, and I believe that we are all doing well. Um, with her departure, I think that we are all still moving forward in the direction that she would want us to be going in. She wanted a lot for us. She wanted us to work together on some kind of venture, and we're doing that. And our Val has, you know,
Took the helm.
yes, and we are all working together and supporting one another, and I'm loving it.
Mm-hmm.
So don't forget, guys, I'll be coming to you. We'll be coming to you with more information about Voice of Promise and doing our TV show on Roku. So you'll be able to not only see us on Facebook, YouTube, but you'll now also be able to see us on Voice of Promise on Roku. But that's not yet. We will announce when that's going to take place. And let me see. I see a comment here. I just wanted to. Oh, we love you too. We love you too.
Mm-hmm.
Again, thank you guys for joining Twinness.
Love
We will be
you.
back next week, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. Okay. Have a good night.
Good night.